And of course now we're going on to the biggie, which of course is exercise, which is kind of interesting because you do have exercise as number 5 as a fundamental principle, and most people tend to rank exercise as the most important point in especially improving what's their health. So why in this case is it at number 5? Terence?
Well, David, it's interesting that you call it the big one, and we got to number 5 and you're saying it's the big one, yet it is number 5 on the list for very good reason. It's ranked number 5. All the ones preceding exercise are more important in the scheme of health than what exercise is. Now, that's, well, hard news to take for some people, that, especially the ones that I deal with that are addicted to exercise. But hopefully what this presents you with is a little bit of a pressure release to get out there and exercise. What I find with people is that when they approach the concept of health, that they consider that low health is a result of being fat, or being fat shows that you're unhealthy. And the logical, some would say logical, assumption that you'd make from that is that if you've got more fat on your body than you need, you've got to get that fat off, you'll become healthy. The best way to get fat off the body would be to exercise. The concept of lowering body fat through increasing energy expenditure. I really wish it were that simple. It's not. And I would urge anyone that's thinking of taking on an exercise program to improve their health to do it from a very sensible perspective and not to push their body too hard. And it is that area that people feel they have the most control with, because if you make the decision, going back to number 1, the thought of improving your health, if you make that decision to improve your health, then the first action that people will take that they can do readily with very little equipment is to go out running or walking or cycling or jogging, whatever it might be that they have access to. Doesn't require much equipment, and it's being promoted as being the most important aspect to gaining health in your body. But it's a lot more complex story than this.
It's an interesting point that's mentioned there about overdoing it. What exactly are the major pitfalls of a too aggressive start to exercise in general?
Yeah, well look, most people that are starting an exercise program do so after a long period of being quite sedentary, and that in itself is quite an issue. When you go from doing nothing to doing a lot, then your body is going through a massive adaptation in a very short period of time. It's like taking that old beat-up car that you've had sitting out the back under the tarp for the last 5 years, and then getting it out and putting it around a racetrack, and without doing an oil change, without doing a systems check, with checking the suspension and the brakes and the tyres. And as you can imagine, if you were to do that with a car, you could pretty safely assume you're going to crash, or that car's going to blow up an engine or something. So with your body, respect it. If you haven't done anything with your body for a while, ease into the concept of exercise. Do things that you feel comfortable with that, most importantly, don't create pain. So if something that you're doing is creating pain in your body, it is a very clear signal from your body to say that what you have just done is not good for you. At the moment, it's not good for you. Now, when people in that situation, driving their car or their body in this particular situation, ignore that signal of pain. In fact, what often happens is people will take a medication like an aspirin or a Panadol or a Nurofen, something to be able to stop that pain response. Well, if we go back to the car analogy, that's like you're driving along in your car and you see on the dash light that the oil light's blinking at you. Now, common sense would dictate that you'll take your car in, get it serviced and get that oil changed as soon as possible. With taking those pain-lowering medications, it's essentially the same as getting under the dash when that light's blinking at you and taking out the light bulb. So now you don't even know that the oil isn't low anymore. Now, with the car, you would expect that pretty soon afterwards you're going to have a major event occur in the car. Why is it not reasonable to expect that if you continually take drugs to mask the pain in your body, that you would soon after expect to see pain and further dysfunction or injury in your body? So with regards to injuries, what tends to happen? If your body's not functioning at its optimum, if you haven't been doing regular exercise or your health is somewhat compromised, you may find that your posture is going to lend you towards having experience of pain. So pain in the neck, pain through shoulders, especially if you have one of those forward head rounded shoulder type positions and go out jogging. That can put a lot of pressure up on your neck and on your shoulder area and your upper back. A lot of times people who've been quite sedentary, sitting down in chairs, their abdominal muscles have ceased to function correctly. So they're not getting the support to their lower back. And every week I perform a lecture at a health retreat. And during that lecture I ask the people, I get 30, 40 people per week, to put up their hand if they have any sensation of back pain on a regular basis. And consistently more than 80% of the room put their hand up for this. That's quite amazing. 80% of people kicking around saying, these are healthy people, these are people that choose to go to a health retreat for a holiday. 80% of them are saying they get back pain on a regular basis. So it's very important to make sure that your core muscles are functioning well. Those deep abdominal muscles that help to support the spine to save it from being injured when you do start exercising. So the first stage of an exercise program should very well be to look at your core function, look at your posture and see how it's all working together.
And is that this overworking of exercise, is it anything to do with the sort of the motto like no pain, no gain kind of thing? And people sort of get too hung up in that?
Those old banners that you'd see in the PE teacher's office at school and in the collegiate college football player coaches' rooms that said, you know, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, and no pain, no gain. Well, that's a very dated concept, and it's shown to create a lot of people and a lot of ex-athletes and ex-sporting heroes that today are in a tremendous amount of pain and having a very hard time with life. If we were to go and do a little video presentation of all the ex-rugby league players that are now in their late 40s and have a look at their body condition and ask them how their body's feeling, well, you'd safely assume that there's a lot of pain being felt among those people. So I'd say with regards to the pain concept, no pain, no gain, let's throw it out. Pain, no gain should be taken on board for people.
That's a good point, very good point, yeah. And well, in exercise in general, what's that? It seems to be much of an occurrence now that personal training is taking off in a big way. But of course, how would you know, Terence, what to look for in attributes and qualifications of a good trainer?
Right. Look, I've worked extensively with personal training around the world, and I've worked with top-level personal trainers in all sorts of environments. And one thing I can safely say is there is a large difference between the quality of personal trainers around. When you're selecting a personal trainer to assist you to regain your health physically, and we're talking about the muscles and bones and things here, really find someone who has a strong focus on your postural alignment and core function. That's something that you can do quite easily through questioning. So ask them what their knowledge base is, what qualifications that they have, what is their primary focus in sessions, and yeah, have a chat to any personal trainer that you do encounter. Myself, working with a number of people, a lot of people that come to me come from that perspective of wanting to get into a personal training situation or relationship with me. And I am quite adamant that before I even work with someone, before I prescribe one exercise for someone, I will do a very comprehensive assessment on their body to see how their core muscles are functioning, to see how their posture is aligned, to see if there are any joints that are out of place and creating pain, to see if they're on any medications and so forth. And I'd urge you to find someone who does do an assessment prior to working out with you. That's fairly commonplace today, so that'd be something that you should be able to easily find. But yeah, also check in to regards to how often they upgrade their qualifications and knowledge, and where they got their qualifications. If it was a short 4 to 6 week course that they've done, well, in a situation like that, I would say, well, I've spent the last 13 to 15 years studying the human body, and I still am very cautious about when I give exercises across, because everybody that I come across is a new riddle. It's a new problem to be figured out, and to give exercises out willy-nilly or to provide generic standardized exercise programs for people is a recipe for pain, dysfunction, and, well, a disaster.
Some good points there. Thank you so much, sir, for that, Terence.
Yeah, you're welcome.